Hello, Chris Richardson here again, and this is the second part of the two sessions I had promised to make this today, and this has to do with an article in Scientific American. Will humans ever live in space? This writer for Scientific American says no. Guess what? She's wrong. She's terribly wrong. And it's part of the media joining in to try and stop people from having dreams and wanting to better themselves. They want you to be in despair, that you're never going to get anywhere. Well, yeah, you can. And I'll tell you, space is going to be an incredible opportunity. I'll tell you some of the things that happened. I used to work at the Johnson Space Center, and it was very frustrating because we had been to the moon, and yet we were concentrating on low Earth orbit, which, it's like, okay, we've seen the world and we're going back to sucking our thumb. I'm sorry, but there's way too many things that need to get done. And quite frankly, most of the poverty and lack of resources that we experience are because we have not gone into space. There are incredible resources out there that we have not even touched. And the moon itself is in a perfect location for a lot of the things we want to do. And I even done some writing on some of this. I haven't published it, but I was working on a little book I was titling Never a Cloudy Day. Because one of the things on the moon, you have no atmosphere. And okay, that's fine. The thing is that it makes it so much easier to get things off of the moon. You can, it costs you a great deal of energy to get things up to the moon. But once you're up there, it's all downhill. Basically, the moon has a very shallow gravity well. Very shallow. And all you have to do is get up over that potential and you can drop right into the Earth's gravity well, which is much deeper. And, that's downhill. And once you have the resources, now, one of the things that's going to make it difficult for settling space is that every ounce of food you have to lift out of the Earth gravity well costs you a fortune. I'm telling you, it is horribly expensive. But any food that you grow up there, and quite frankly, there's plenty of energy that's available on the moon. Plenty. Solar is easy. Solar collectors. There's helium-3 up there. And helium-3 mixed with thorium reactors become a very cheap, easy way of generating energy. The thorium reactors are extremely safe. And why I know why. They're using fusion and fission reactors because they can make weapons with them. You can't make weapons with a thorium reactor. And if it goes critical, it just freezes. This is the thing. It takes a certain amount of energy to get thorium reactors going, but once they do, they keep going. And helium-3 is a big magnifier of the power of thorium reactors. And frankly, once we get up to the moon, we can start a variety of different means of growing food. There are lava tubes on the moon, and those you can encapsulate. You can close them off and hang lights in there, power from the moon's resources, and grow crops in the lava tubes, or even in bubbles on the surface. What's really interesting is that, we have landers that have been on the moon for 50 years. They have foil. They're pretty much wrapped in foil. And this is a 50-year-old project that's been going on in collecting the moon dust and impacts, and we can evaluate what the likelihood is of having a catastrophic impact from a meteor on the moon. We've had these bases, these launch pads from the lunar landers, and the top with the guys took off, and the landers are still there, and the foil is there, and it's been punctured by all of these meteors and micrometeors, and so we have a pretty good idea for 50 years of what the impact is for those square meters of foil, and that gives us a pretty good idea. And one of the things is that there is no atmosphere. Yes. And that means that meteors are coming in at ballistic trajectories and ballistic speeds. And there is no atmosphere to burn them up. But there's an awful lot of obsidian dust up there that we can maneuver around and bury our camps or our habitats under at least 6 feet of this regolith. And we can do that. We're protected from most of the radiation and most of the impacts of these meteors. Now, large meteors, sure, they can come in, they can create a whole new impact zone, but it's very rare, very rare. And frankly, it would behoove us to ring our settlements with laser projectors that can deflect these meteors when we sense them. And we should be able to sense them quite a ways out and actually protect those areas. Now, what's so cool about the moon is that they have a rock called basaltic rock, and one of the things that you can do with basaltic rock is generate basaltic thread. It's very heat stable, and you can use it to weave a re-entry vehicle, a vehicle that can be launched from the surface of the moon without any fuel. We just use a mass driver and get us up over that lip. Once we get up over that lip, it's downhill into the Earth gravity well, and you can land it on any half kilometer of land on Earth. What a great way of getting food and water and resources to people who are in isolated areas on Earth. We can do it. And the thing is that those are one-way reentry vehicles. Once they're there, they can be cut up and used for building materials and storage huts and even boats, because they're going to be the shape of a boat, and it's going to be watertight, tell you the truth. And one of the things about that is that we can control the rate at which it enters the atmosphere and deploy means of controlling the landing of the craft. First of all, streamers. Streamers help with the orientation of the vehicle into the atmosphere, so we can slow down the package and then just deploy a steerable parachute in order to actually land it where we want to land it. Streamers work beautifully, and just basaltic thread. Weave it into a pattern and stretch out, half a mile of material, and that'll true up the direction of the reentry vehicle. And also, one of the things that we can do is what I call a kettle reentry device, which is essentially an envelope in which we store water, frozen, and we can actually use an iron base in order to use that as what we launch the reentry vehicle with the magnetic iron belly package, and as it punches into the atmosphere, it heats up that water, and the vents are in the direction of flight, so that we are slowing down the reentry. Now, that's going to slow it down quite a bit and also make it so that it's much more controllable upon landing. So these are good things. And the observations by this lady who did this article, and this is not the first time that they've kind of poo-pooed this. Sarah Scoles, and I really do not like that article one little bit. And again, it's trying to get you afraid to go into space, and I'm telling you, zero-G flight is incredible. I did zero-G flights with NASA, and it was a hoot. And being up there for a longer period of time, I only experienced it, 20, 30 seconds at a time, but it was wild while it was there. But these are things that the world is going to discover. We're going to have hospitals in space. People recover very quickly in zero-G from especially burn victims. Oh my God. Burn victims can heal in days rather than months. And, it's just so insane what this lady is talking about. She doesn't know what she's talking about. And, if you ever saw Babylon 5, there's an asteroid ring out there between Mars and Jupiter, and it's full of materials that we can bring together in order to form new living material, new living organizations, which will utilize the value of creating new agricultural space, and that will feed the population that goes into space. We won't have to lift food off of Earth. In fact, Earth would become a recipient of the amount of resources that we can bring back to Earth. You know, that plus the mass driver on the moon can provide us with, you know, we've got at 94 million miles away from Earth is a wide open nuclear reactor going. And it's been going on for millions of years. And you know what? We can launch things into a heliocentric orbit and bring it back to it, slingshot it back to us, molten. We can do the manufacturing of molten materials easily by running launching it into a solar orbit, heat it up, and as it's coming back to the moon, or one of the Lagrange points, you can be slowing it down and actually start extruding the materials. Talk about making hollow ball bearings, not a problem on the way back from being molten in heliocentric orbit. And it's just a matter of doing the math. And you can get these materials back and feed a whole new industry of new materials science that you can't do on Earth. These are things that we need to be focusing on and really making the world better than what it is now. We've got to stop our fighting and start cooperating. And this means that we're going to be working with the Chinese and the Indians and the Brits and the Germans and the Russians. Remember, it's been the Russians that have gotten us back to the International Space Station for over a decade. And, you know, now we don't need them anymore. Bullshit. We do. Let's go forward. We have lots of things to get done. And we got lots of time to get it all done if we get started now. Okay, thank you very much, and we're going to call it a quit for